Seek Yahweh while he is to be found. Call on him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to Yahweh, who has compassion on him, and to our Almighty, our Allah, for he pardons much. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares Yahweh. For as the Shamayim are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. For as the rain comes down and the snow from the Shamayim, and do not return there, but water the earth and make it bring forth and bud, and give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so is my word that goes forth from my mouth. It does not return to me empty, but shall do what I please, and shall certainly accomplish what I sent it for. Isaiah chapter 55, verses 7 through 11. Have you ever encountered something that seemed impossible? At the Art of Woman podcast, we share testimonies of those who have. From divine healings to answered prayers, you'll hear stories of how Yahweh turns trials into triumphs. This isn't just another podcast. It's a community of followers of the way, sisters, seeking the impossible through faith. Stay tuned, because today's episode might just be the encouragement you need. All right, so shalom, shalom, Akwathya, Sister Gift. I do appreciate the fact of you making time to be here with me today, because I know that with our differences as far as the time, and the busyness of life, as things do happen, it's
Yeah.
not as easy to, to find a time that's convenient for both of us. So I'm really grateful that the Most High provided this time for us today.
Mm, yeah, definitely.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, ma'am. So I wanted to see if the first thing, if you could just start out by just like introducing yourself and just sharing a little bit about your walk with the Most High, what led you into a deeper faith.
Okay, so my name is Gifts. I go by Gifts of Yah on YouTube. I'm 24. Um, I've been so I came into some truth. I like to say some truth now.
Mm-hmm.
I came into some truth. I think probably about 2019, 2019, 2018 to 2019. And it was through, my children's father. And he was coming into the truth heavily. He was learning a lot. And so I would pick up things here and there. It wasn't really my thing because I grew up in a Christian church. My
Okay.
parents are pastors, established Christians. And so I grew up in the Christian church. And yeah, I just, as I was hearing more of some of the truth and I was seeing different things, seeing things in a different way, it finally led to me truly, like, I think it was 2020 where I went through like what I will see describe as a revelation, where I started to realize truly what the world is and truly what has happened and what is going on. And I had some sense, I now could see the past, which is our history through the Bible or through the words. I could now see present things that were happening because obviously 2020 was such a time that we could just even get into that. But 2020 was a big revelation for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people. And then I could see the future through prophecy and things within the word. So I think that was the opening of my eyes, sort of. And then since then, yeah, it's just been an interesting walk, I would say. An interesting walk, and really is a walk, it's a journey. It's it's not, oh, I believe in the Most High, and now it's all over now. Close the book,
That is
end of
true.
chapter. It's not okay. Let's just end it now. You know,
Right.
we all believe. Woo! This is life, isn't it? Every step of your life, if you've
Mm,
truly given it to the Most High, you have to consider Him in everything, basically.
yeah.
And that is, I mean, I'll hold my tongue and I won't say it's hard because I know Yahusha said that his burden is light, but it's a journey. I
Yeah.
would just say it's a journey. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's sort of my genesis and where I sort of how I came about the truth. And it's been, yeah, it's been, like I said, a journey, learning a lot. There's been periods of intense learning, and there's been periods where I'm marinating on things I've learned, things I've seen, and then you go to intense seeking and just up and down, different phases, different parts of this walk. And um and I think something that also interests me is also looking at everyone else's walk. um it's interesting, sometimes you'll find that everyone is sinking in ways in
Mm,
terms of our lives, our experiences, and then sometimes you'll find that we're all sort of doing different things at different stages.
right.
And that's why we need fellowship, and that's why I appreciate being here today. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. I like how like like you just talking about, okay, I'm gonna hold my tongue and just say a journey. Um and instead of it being hard, but like, just being truthful though. I mean, I understand, why it is that you say it that way. I really do. I was thinking, however, when it comes to the Most High's word, like he does say that it's hard pressed, that this narrow way, it's hard pressed. He
Okay.
talks about it being afflicting. So even if we tend, we can maybe use those words, but when you hear that, the person's going to go right back to, yeah, it is a little hard. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be
Yeah.
okay, for us to be able to express the fact that it's not easy. The Most
Mm,
High, through Yahweh Shai, he does tell us though that we need to consider the cost before we actually make this choice to even come here,
mm,
in this journey with him.
mm,
Because none of us really need to have this expectation, like you said, that once you find out the truth, you know who it is that you are. You come to know the Most High, come to know the Messiah, and you can just, like you said, you can't just put that book down or the scriptures down and just, hey, that's it. No, you have to read, meditate, apply it. There's some hard
mm,
things that are going to happen along the way.
mm,
And in the midst of it, or in spite of everything that we face, we have to endure. And
mm,
the enemy, because of the way that whatever he kind of chooses at, with because everybody's the way that the enemy may attack a person's life is going to be different. There's some similarities with a lot of us too at the same time, but whatever that way is that the enemy comes in and attacks, that thing can be so pressing that, his goal, of course, is to get us to give up,
mm,
and unfortunately, there's some that do. Yet we are completely and solely dependent upon the strength that the Most High provides to us through the Messiah to
mm,
continue to keep on enduring in that.
mm. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it would probably be okay for us to say, yeah, it is
Yeah.
hard, but like you said, it's a journey. It's
It's
a
a
journey.
journey. Yeah. Yeah. It's not easy. Yeah. And I think something that I'm learning to appreciate more is, people's journeys and learning from those around me.
Yeah.
I think it's, a blessing to commune or speak with the elders. I think it's a blessing to appreciate the newborn or the children, and to just see, the progression of life. And, you know, I think, yeah, I've been really appreciating, like I said, appreciating what is the process of, like you said, life and holding on
Mm.
to the Most High. And I'm conscious of how I'm gonna do it. So that's why I can see it's hard. There's so many things that happen. Even just in one day, if you consider the amount of things, a conversation, how many words said, how many things that can happen in one day. Something could go from being completely fine to not. You know,
Right.
and and also in one day something could go from being terrible to positive and good and looking up. And you know it's a beautiful thing to
Yes.
it's a beautiful thing that Yahusha, you know made the sacrifice for us, so we don't have to do
Mm.
this walk alone.
Mm.
Because without Yahusha, we're basically wandering. We have no direction. No we have nothing helping us, guiding us
Mm.
to peace. And that's the one thing I found anyway, that when I look around, people are looking for peace. They're looking for bliss, happiness, and relaxation, and to someone to take their burdens. That's a big one.
Mm.
Burdens. We're all carrying so much, whether it's from your childhood, whether it's things that's happened in your life, and mistakes you've made, things people have done to you, things you've seen, things you've heard, you know, the way in which life, the way, just experiences we go through. And we just don't have to do it alone. And
Mm.
that's such a blessing. And, that's why I appreciate verses that thank Yahusha and thank the Most High for his mercy, and thank Yahusha for the sacrifice that was made. And because yeah, his sacrifices meant that we are not alone. We're not alone. Even when we're truly, like, when you're by yourself, like, in your cupboard by yourself, no one can hear you. You're still not alone. You still have his word. You still have something to hold on to, something to keep you going. And the way life is, there's some times where we're gonna feel alone. We're gonna feel, you know, sad and upset and frustrated at the brink, at the very point of I can't do this anymore.
Mm.
And there's just that saving hand always. I think
Right.
that's a blessing. I think it's something you can't let go of and something you can't ignore. It's a blessing. And I think that's what I'm learning now, is that it's not it doesn't have to be a lonely walk. I've been blessed with 3 children, amazing children. They are literally superb, and
Hallelujah.
every way they're fantastic, and I feel genuinely blessed to have them. But I know that at some point they're gonna leave the house, and they're gonna find their lives, and they're gonna
Mhm.
find my sons will find their wives, my daughter will find her husband, or they may devote themselves to Christ, and they may to
Right.
the Lamb, and they may spend their time doing, I don't know. Obviously, their walk is their walk, but at some point they're gonna leave, and you know, there's so many things right now that in my life right now I can't imagine living without, or I think I need. But in the future, I may not have that thing, or you know what I mean. Do you understand what I mean? Like, I love my children. They're right here with me every day. I teach them. My daughter's homeschooled, and it's a blessing every day to be here with them. But I also know at some point they won't be here at home all the time. It'll be a different situation. And I know that regardless of where I'm gonna be, who's here, who's not, you know, within myself, I know that I'm covered with the Most High, and I know that He's there with me. Even times that I feel very, very far away,
Yeah.
or sometimes I've taken myself away, I feel further away than I would like to. I still know that He's there. I know that He won't forsake me. I know we can maybe forsake Him and be like, oh, I don't want to. Oh, this is too hard, or this is too difficult. But I know that He won't forsake. He won't forsake me, and He won't forsake my household. And that's a
Yeah.
blessing.
Allow. Yeah. That, because there's a lot, just in what you had expressed, but the main thing, what I was thinking about or what came, to mind because of the
mm,
fact of you saying that we're not alone, because of the Messiah, Yahweh Shai giving us, this himself, in everything that we experience. And recently, um, some sisters and I, we are actually looking into um like affliction and offenses and the different just having a different outlook, of the reason behind, maybe not completely, but the reason behind the way that we are afflicted and the hard times that we have within our lives. And one thing that we know for certain is number one, like you had said, is that we're not alone in this. Even if it is that we may be in a season, within our life where the Most High may have us by ourselves with Him, of course, but just by ourselves. So naturally, there could be a season where a person may just be spending time with Him, you know. However,
mm, mm,
whether it's that type of season or whether it is a season where, a person is not necessarily alone and they do have a community or they do have elders, they do have, other people to pour into them. Either way, one season or the other, the one thing that does not change is the fact of the Most High making himself available to us in the process of that. And
mm,
what we're learning is that, even before we even became a follower of the way, you know, Yahweh Shai, the Messiah, he was there.
mm,
Like
mhm.
he's
Yeah.
always been there. Like there's always, like the most like like how there's that saying, it's not really him that walked away, it's us that did that. And
Mm,
therefore there's in whenever a person is living in their sin, then and that's all that they choose to do, then there's times where the Most High will turn his back.
mm,
However, you know he promises to never leave us nor forsake us, and there's plenty of times where all of us can say, wow, you know what? Yah saved me in that moment. He could have let me go in that moment. And then over here at this situation, if it had not been, then my life would have been taken, you know.
mm,
However, he's had, this at least I believe that he's all like, first of all, like I said, that Yahweh Shai, that the Messiah, he's always been there.
mm,
And I believe that the Most High has always had this messenger, like, his, people may say his angel or his messenger, like really truly taking charge over us to protect us in these situations. So we're not
mm,
completely given over to the enemy. And therefore, it gives us an opportunity to be right here in this space today.
mm,
We can look back at plenty of times where our lives really could have been taken, or we
mm,
ourselves could have done that, because we placed ourselves in situations because of our choices and stuff. But anyway, but he's always been there. And I've always
mm,
appreciated the fact of the Most High not leaving us alone.
mm,
Because the Messiah, him always being there, yet the enemy will try to get a person to feel like they are.
mm,
Like they're doing, life alone, on their own.
mm, mm,
However, when those times are hard pressed, when those times are afflicting, what we're learning is that the Messiah is actually being revealed to you in those times. If we'll
mm,
sit back and really listen,
mm,
like if we'll sit back and listen, if we'll sit back and look, if we'll sit back and just acknowledge the fact, because he says we have to share in his sufferings.
mm,
So as we're being afflicted, there's some impurities that are coming to surface. So
mm,
feelings, emotions, mind, will, there's things that come up. And prior to being a follower of the way and reading them scriptures, we didn't know how to respond, but according to the feelings and emotions.
mm,
But now the Father's teaching us, like, no, you follow, it's my son is going to help you to understand how to respond, and then therefore get rid of these impurities that are inside of you so you can share in the set apartness. And so that way it gives him room and space and the ability to reveal himself and to esteem the Father. And so, like
mm,
you said, that yoke that is easy, that burden that is light, is then we're walking in that.
mm, mm,
However, a journey is a process. We may not learn it right there and then, and it takes some time,
mm,
through the time, through what it is that we're experiencing. But like I
mm,
said, yeah, the Messiah is revealed. He's revealed, and then you know that it was him that brought you through A, B, C, D, E. You
mm,
finally
mm,
begin to start seeing that he's been there the entire time.
mm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And then you were talking about your children. I was recently looking up the word ahab or ahaba, the word for love in Hebrew.
Mm,
And in the lexicon, it was talking about how there's a part of the word that represents a person that is looking at a great sight, with their hands raised as when they're saying, oh, behold, and they're
mm,
amazed. Then there's the other part that represents the house. And so looking, when you take these together, as far as the word love is concerned, it's like expressing looking towards the house or providing for the family. But one thing
mm,
that it also says is a person does not choose the household in which they're born into. The tribe, the parents, the children, the wife, marriages were often arranged by the father. It's actually a gift from the Most High Yah. And so
mm.
when we look at his
Wow.
love, same thing as when we look at our children, could
Mm,
a husband looking at the wife, whoever it is that is in your family. And whether really close, or even if we look at the families that the Most High brings us into knowing, as far as relationships, the ones that love him, because a lot of us, we've been separated from family,
mm,
but then he ends up replacing them, with,
mm,
like you were talking about, elders, and you have your children, and like, there's other people that he builds a community around you. And so they're all
mm,
seen as these are gifts that the Most High places within your life, and they're actually to be seen as a privilege, and they're to be cherished and protected.
mm,
So this is his way of seeing us. And these are the things that this is the way that he responds to us. And then this is also the way that we're responding back to him. And
mm,
so, but anyway, I just wanted to mention that because, his love, whenever it comes to the Most High, he does have conditions, of course, because we got to follow his
mm.
word. However, it's a privilege. It is a gift,
Mm.
and then I'm reminded, as far as your name, I'm sitting there like, because I'm looking at it on the screen like it's a gift. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
You
So,
know, um, so I feel as though some things in relation, there's some deep understandings about the word and about the Most High, who his love and the way he deals with us. There's some things I only understood after having children and trying to guide them and to teach them and dealing with different personalities and oh my gosh,
mm,
sometimes you know um because honest, maybe some people don't believe this, I'm not sure, but I believe there's some things that within us, like we all have our individual walk,
yes,
and maybe it's not that, maybe it's not that we have let me think about what I want to say first, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. But what I mean is that, for example, someone on their walk may be overcoming alcoholism or drinking too much, and they want to stop being a drunk. But for someone like me, I don't have to overcome that. I'm not a drunk. But for someone else, we could be in a social setting, we could be at a feast, right, or
right.
something. We could be in a setting, and for them, that if there's someone's bought wine or drink or whatever, for them that will be a struggle. But for me, I was there like, oh, I would probably even drink. I didn't really drink. I think I drank a few times, but it's like, okay, it wouldn't be a problem for me. And
Right.
so, with that understanding, when you're teaching, when you're raising children now, they really do have different personalities. They all came from the same womb, but they're different. They're interested in their own ways, and that's why the word of the Most High is so wholesome, because he he's accounting for all of us. He
Mm-hmm.
knows us. He literally said, "I made you in your mother's womb, and I know every hair on your head." And so, if you consider just how many of us there are, actually, there's a lot of. He said that we are like the number of the sand of the sea. That's a lot
Yes.
of people. So if he knows every, like, down to the hair on your head,
Mm-hmm.
for example, when my children, I know if they slept, if they drank water, if they've eaten. I know if they've done their work today, if they've gone outside. I know as much as you can really know about
Mm-hmm.
someone. I clean their bowl. I do everything. I clean your nappy, even when a baby, you're breastfeeding them. You're their source of supply. They need you, like they have to survive. They need you
Yes.
to survive. You know, and so you going through that, being a mom and being a parent, or just even if you're not a mom or a parent, but in encountering children and being around children, you learn, you can really relate to the Most High and
Mm-hmm.
his ways.
Right.
You know, there's some non-negotiables in the Bible, in the Word.
True.
And just like in my house, there's some non-negotiables. There's just certain things you cannot, will not do. Yeah.
Yes.
Like that serious mom, nope, that's not happening in this house, not happening. And they
Right.
won't do it. Or they may test it, or they
Mm-hmm.
may they may have to learn sometimes. It's just you get some more understanding as you as an adult now, you as a grown person, traveling through this journey of life. And you're doing that now with the Most High as your father. That term father,
Mm-hmm.
it's used on purpose. I always emphasize, like, why does he say father? He doesn't say army general. He doesn't say like captain. He
Right.
doesn't say
Mm-hmm.
all of these other things. He says father. That's more than just, you go to a
Mm-hmm.
job and someone out, like,
Right.
it's more than that. It's like when your father, first you come from your father. You're from his seed. He gave his
Mm-hmm.
seed so you could be here. And two, a father is integral from people's lives, and
Mm-hmm.
it's from the foundation. And so I always found it, I actually used to ponder about that. Why does he call himself father? Like, I'm trying to think, you know, like, why father? And then I start to relate to myself as a mother, and I
Right.
compare the things I do, the things I see, the things I experience, and I just see the parallels. And it's yeah, it's taught me many things. It's made me understand certain things. It's made me understand certain things, just the way the Most High operates. And imagine me, because there's a verse, Yahusha used it in a more of a, it was in, not in a derogatory way, but there was a verse where he was speaking to someone, and they were like, and he said, "Oh, how many of you's father will you ask him for food and he'll give you a stone, or you ask him for
Right.
bread and he'll give you a stone?"
Yes.
And then he said, "How much more your father in heaven?"
Mm.
And so, yeah, as much, like, I think to myself, as much as I literally shower my children with love, kisses, I comb their hair and I give them their food, I'll be there humming in the kitchen hoping that they love the meal. As much love as I feel like I am trying to give to them and I want to give to them, how much more our Father, who knows every single hair on our head, and He's considered everything. He wants to see us, He wants us to come to an expected end. All of these things He said about us, and His love for us, and His grace, and His compassion, His anger. His anger, that's cool, that's there too. As a parent, you get angry sometimes. They're
Right.
not listening, they're like, you've told them this same thing 100 times, and now you're angry. Like, obviously it's hard to
Right.
sometimes I'm just like, I may think, okay, I mean, you know some things you see in the word, when the Most High is angry and his judgment, it's just like, okay, I personally wouldn't go scorched earth or like, flooding
Mhm.
the whole earth. But you're like, you can understand how, you could get angry. You're like, "Oh, why are you acting this way?"
Right.
And that's the beauty of it. You start to, yeah, I'm not sure where I was, but no, I was just saying, the parallels between becoming a parent and, there's some verses within Wisdom of Solomon, and even the books of Proverbs and the books that Solomon wrote, where he emphasizes on the wisdom and the teachings and the scoldings and the you know um, teachings of a mother and a mom. And I used to be quiet. I used to think, oh, a mom is all so soft and stuff like that. But I've, through learning and stuff, I've learned that, mom can be quite, from like I said, from the words of Solomon and things I've read within, especially the wisdom of Solomon. The mom can be a disciplinarian,
Yeah.
a teacher, um, the one who can guide one's the child's course, especially in the first years of life. You know, we are the ones that are primarily with them, and so yeah, learning about how the Most High sees us as His children. How many times He calls us His children, and the same love, the same love I have for my children. Most High's love is far greater. And so it really gives you that perspective of how loved you are. Like most parents, obviously there's some evil ones out there, but most parents love their children.
Right.
They want them to do well. I know I do anyway. You want them to do well. You want them to succeed. You want them to be happy. You want them to be fed. You know, so
Yeah.
when Yahusha's saying, "Oh, don't worry about what you're gonna eat," I literally tell my children, "Don't worry about lunch right now. I'm gonna give you." I
Right.
have literally said those words to my children. Oh,
Mhm.
mom, what we gonna eat? What we gonna? I'm like, "Ugh, don't. Why are you asking me what you gonna eat? Of course, you always eat, and I'll make you something shortly." And I could just relate to these words in a deeper way, and see like, okay, when the Most High says, "Don't worry about what you're gonna eat," he genuinely means I will make a way. So don't even worry about it. And it gives me this assurance because as a parent, that's all I want to, I try to give them assurance and make sure that they have the things they need. How much more the Most High Himself, and how
Mhm.
much he wants to see us succeed, and He wants to see us at peace. And when your children are sleeping and they're just peaceful, that you love that, you enjoy that. And I know that's what the Most High wants: peace and love and being happy, and being together and blessed and not cursed as we've been for so long, because many of us are breaking curses, generational curses, breaking out of things that we didn't even know were problems, or spirits and things that have
Right.
attached themselves to our lives. A lot of us are breaking free from them. And I
Mhm.
believe that comes with some blessings and some, you know, breaking free from our old ways and our old patterns and the
Yeah.
things that's kept us down.
Hallelujah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hope I'm not rambling too long.
No, 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 no. I actually appreciate the fact that you had mentioned this because, you know, um, like the relationship that the Father desires for us to have, like you was saying, is likened unto a father and his child, you
Mm,
know. And then at the same time, and I'm not speaking of the teenagers, the teenage stage, but when they're at that, because that can be something completely different for everybody. But um, what I will say though is at the stages of a newborn, at least from newborn to maybe, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, there
mm,
is a trust also that is
mm,
gained because of the relationship that that child has with that parent, so
mm,
that parent can tell this child to do A, B, C, whatever it is, and that child will completely wholeheartedly trust what that
mm,
parent says. Then they're also looking at the way that the parent is acting towards them, and based on the way that the parent is acting towards them, this is the way that this is what they give back. because they
mm,
say like the first 5 years is like the most sensitive years of a child's life, So, as I'm, just considering that off of what you're saying, I'm like, yeah, and just think like this is the level in which the Most High wants for us to be able to trust Him. That is the
mm,
relationship that the Most High desires, Him being the
mm,
Father. And then, like you were saying, He knows every single thing that it is we need,
mm,
everything. So even if something comes within our life, and say, for example, we're praying, to the Most High and we're asking Him, we're in a conversation with our Father and we're asking Him for a particular thing. Whatever this particular thing is, if it's according to His divine will, He says that we'll have it.
mm,
However, the one thing that we don't know is we don't know how that thing that we're going to have or whatever action we're wanting Him to take within our life, we don't know what that's going to look like.
mm,
However, because like you had mentioned, as far as us being uniquely different, we are all unique, we are all different. We
mm,
all need certain things done a certain way. And
mm,
almost like even, like for example, if a child or a parent has identical twins, and let's say that these twins look so identical to the people that are externally, in their
mm,
life that are outside, and they're looking at them, they can't tell the difference between the two. Yet, the parent that has them, they're so intimate with them, in that relationship, they can look exactly alike to everybody else, but they know them differences. They know the uniqueness in each one of them, regardless of how on the outside, how, they may look or how close they may look as far as the similarities. And so
mm,
whenever it comes to us, Yah knows exactly what we need in order to become exactly what He desires and
mm,
exactly with what is going to benefit us in order to become that which He'll be pleased with. So we will
mm,
endure to the end. So we will make it into, the kingdom, so that we, and some of these things that we do for our children, they don't feel good. Just like he
mm,
even expresses when he talks about discipline, he says discipline, whenever it's given, he talks about the way that our parents done it for their benefit, but he said it's so that we can share in his set apartness,
mm,
and so he says it's not going to feel good though.
mm,
But hopefully, if you apply what I'm wanting you to,
mm,
as it trains you, you're going to come out of it in a way that is more set apart and be like your father who was in the heavens, and I'm paraphrasing all that, but it's just, the fact of just really looking at this type of relationship that he desires to really have with us
mm,
would be the way that we all once looked at our parents, or the way that your
mm,
children are looking at you right now at the young stages,
mm,
because he says that's the trust, that is the love, that is that level of I know that you have me, you know,
mm,
mommy, daddy, whatever. I know that you have me. That is that level of, you know,
mm, mm,
yeah, yeah.
mm,
Halal, yeah. Now, in the process of you having, became a follower of the way, who it is that you are in Yah, you're learning more about, him, and especially in the things that you're experiencing. What is a situation or a challenge in life that you actually faced that seemed, I would say, like impossible? Like you really was like whatever circumstance or obstacle, like something that just seemed like you was just not going to come up out of that. And maybe even almost felt like giving up.
mm. Well, I was just saying, well, obviously, there's been, to be honest, it's an interesting question you're asking, I guess, because there's many instances, I've been in a little season of reflection, looking back at my life and, you know, some things are starting to make more sense, some things are starting to make way less sense. um, and so there were many instances like that, but one that really just instantly jumps to mind. You know, um, probably so the end of 2023 to spring 2024, I would say was probably one of the most difficult times in my life. Um, you know, it was just completely horrible.
Mhm.
To be blunt, there was many things going on at the time, but the main thing was my youngest child. He was born normal, fine, happy baby, but he wasn't um, gaining weight as quickly as Babylon's doctors would like, and so in every respect he was thriving, but it just wasn't gaining weight as well as he was gaining weight, but very slowly. And so as a result, we had some serious attacks from this system, from social care, from the police, from medical staff. The three top sectors of Babylon. Obviously not
Mhm.
politicians or anything, but yeah, it was it was a very difficult time. Um, after what had been going on was going on for a month or two, I made the decision that I wanted to take my children out of where we were living,
Right.
um, and I made that decision on the day the ticket was booked that day. I mean, at that time, my youngest, he was under 6 months. I think it was about 3 months, and my eldest was 4, and my second son, he was 2. And so that day I packed like one bag of stuff and I took them and we went down to well, I was supposed to go to family, but no one was available. Everyone was out of their home. So I went to the house of a woman I had never met before. We had met on Telegram, it was.
Mhm.
And on Telegram, we used to pray together and talk about the Most High and the truth and learning about these things. And so, yeah, I ended up in a house, and you know, I was um, I was I was detained at the hospital for 5 days with my son. We were put on a child protection order. It was an insane time.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. And obviously I was still postpartum. I literally just given birth. Um I
Mhm.
had just given birth. I was trying to breastfeed him so he could grow as well. So that was all that pressure on top. And then just obviously being a mother of 3 children, and we weren't home. We were homeless. We had no intention of coming back to our old home, and we didn't have anywhere that was ours, and it was just me and the children most of the time. The dad would come down and visit and support as well. Um, but of course, in for a lot of the time, it was just me and the children, and having to deal with the different things and meetings, and you know, how that it can be intense. Even just living in the office setting or something like that, it could be
Right.
quite intense. And we were dealing with these people, and you know, and it was only by the grace of the Most High, really, that things turned out the way they did. Not only were the people who tried to um, take our children and tried to do the things they did, not only were they put to shame, but we were given a glowing report. We were given the opposite. Like, we were when we went to London, in London we got more fair treatment, and it was night and day. The Most High came through. He was literally like like sunlight. It was like morning after nights and nights of just torment and, so much trial and hardship. He was a light that came through, and
Hallelujah.
he came through in so many ways, in the ways I honestly, I don't think there'll be enough time to sit and truly explain the
Right.
ins and outs of that time. It was I can't believe that we got through that. I can't believe that the Most High saw us through that.
Revitalize your smile with the Tonic Guard, the mouthwash that redefines freshness. Infused with pure herbal extracts like peppermint and clove, it combats bacteria, reduces gum inflammation, and leaves your breath irresistibly minty. No burn, just a burst of natural goodness. Upgrade your oral health care today and join the wave of fresh smiles. Try a Tonic Guard today.
And there were so many times I was at my limit. Obviously, I won't go into too much detail about things, but you know, for me, life hasn't always been an easy walk. There's been many things I've gone through before that point, and it was like almost like I had reached my limit, my life limit. I had reached my day limit. Reached my week limit
Right.
of things that can possibly happen. Like how much more can you go through or deal with or overcome? And even in that time, I still was making some songs, and I still was doing my art and still expressing myself and still seeking the Most High. But it was it was a highly traumatic time,
Right.
and He saw us through. And but the thing is, there's still like scars from that. I don't think that the effects of that um I don't think it's gonna go away instantly. I think that there's still some processing that I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am grateful for is to be on the other side of it. And it's better to be
Hallelujah.
on the other side and still going through it. That's how I see it. With the scars that have to heal and the processes that have to happen. It's better to be doing that than to be in that fight or fight mode,
Right.
to be right in the thick of it, like unable to see, when you cannot see
Mm.
light, you can't see a way out, you can't make sense of the situation. I think that one of the hardest days was, there was a very difficult days when they put us on a protection order. It's like this thing where they said that we were neglectful, and obviously it was proven that we weren't. And the London social services, they were very, they were like tigers, like they were like lions. You know, I
Mm.
made a song, Be Still. And one of the verses I used was, I said, we'll go through the fire and won't get burned. In the face of lions, favors earned.
Mm.
And the reason why is because these people, the way they write things, the way they would attack people, so the social workers can be used to destroy a person's entire life, and some of them have no problem doing that. But by the grace of the Most High, for us, the people we met did everything they could to build us up, to replenish
Hallelujah.
and to restore. Like it makes absolutely no sense. They from the start were like, even they from the start were unwilling to continue the evil that was happening, the wickedness that was going on. Like what kind of favor is that? Like there are some like terrible people within that service and who do the things that they do, but we didn't. And I don't know if they may be evil to other families. I don't know. But in that instance, the Most High
Mm-hmm.
granted us favor. He said that whatever, regardless of how they may act to other people or other families in other ways, for us, we found favor. And that was a blessing. It was, I mean, it was a very difficult time, I won't lie. And there were times where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I felt like I can't do this. And he was still there, and he would make a way. Someone would make a suggestion. Um, something would happen, time would pass. Sometimes there wasn't anything that happened. He would just leave it, and that time, a little bit of time passed.
Mhm.
And there were just so many ways that he saw us through.
Praise
And
God.
saw me personally, I say us, I mean me personally, through that situation, through that, because I breastfed my elder two children perfectly fine. They were chubby, chub babies. I couldn't understand why it was the way it was with my third. And obviously, I was doing my best as a mum. You know, those first few months of you give birth, it's such a vulnerable time,
Yeah.
and I was trying my best. You know, there was the element of biology, the need to like literally just
Hmm.
produce breast milk and breastfeed your baby. There was a spiritual attacks from these vipers, and I call them vipers. They were like snakes, and you know, just foul and evil. There was a spiritual aspect. There was the just the logical aspect of, we had to leave home, finances, where we were sleeping, how's things going to be provided for. We weren't in our home, we weren't in our space. The children were in someone else's house. They didn't have their nappies. They didn't no they did have their nappies, but they didn't have their baby bath stuff. They didn't have the things that they just have in
Hmm.
their own home. It was a time and a half.
Right.
And yeah, it was a difficult time. And I think that's how I came to meet you during that time, meet you
Hmm.
and some of the sisters I met along the way. It was during that time. And I think one of the nights that I was going through that period of feeling like I couldn't do it, I had just gone online, and I had followed the sister that I followed, her channel, Sister Malaka. I followed her channel, and I saw she was live, and I think I just sent a message because I was like, I'm really struggling right now. Is there any support you can give? Or I can't remember how I worded it. And from there, I met other sisters, and I'm not too pressed about staying in one group or like being swearing your allegiance to any one place, but I really appreciate, gathering sisters and talking to sisters and learning from sisters throughout this walk.
Right.
However many sisters that is, how long we talk for, how many times we get back in touch again, like, hey, it's been so long, oh my gosh.
Right.
And then you talk for like,
Yes, ma'am.
you have like a 7 day boost of talking,
Mhm.
and then it's gone again, and then you'll meet back up. I'm not too pressed about it. I don't mind, because I disappear sometimes. It's just my thing. But
Doing your
I
thing. Yeah.
yeah, because even imagine Yahusha when he was on his 40 days and 40 nights, and all of them were calling him up like, Yahusha, where you at, man? Obviously, they wouldn't call him, but sometimes you have to go on your 40 days
You do.
and you need to be by yourself. You need your 40 days. And so, yeah, I just, yeah, and the Most High really came through. He really did. And it,
Praise God.
there's obviously, in hindsight, I can look back and say, yeah, he was there. And during that time, going through it in real time, the mini wins, like in hindsight now, I can look back and say, yeah, he came through on this, he came through on
Hmm.
that. But when you were going through it and you're in the moment, and that
Yeah.
little win feels, sometimes those small wins, or when you overcome something, it feels like such a fantastic. Oh,
Okay. So honest, I was thinking about something though, from
mm,
because I know we got interrupted a little bit, as far as the internet and stuff. I was thinking about something though, because what you were describing as far as what you had faced, and then you were talking about how there were, looking at it now, you're able to see it more clearly and see things differently versus
mm,
being in the midst of it. And what
mm,
came to mind is that I was reading this book one day, and there was this, in the book, the author was over there talking about like the differences between the way that, like, talking about animals now, just kind of hear it and
mm,
spiritually
mm,
though. But okay, so he was talking about some animals. He's talking about the difference between a cow and a buffalo whenever they're facing the storm. And so the one example says that, like when a cow sees a storm coming, they actually tend to try to run away from it. And, they end up getting caught in the storm anyway because they're actually running in the direction that the storm is actually headed.
Mm.
And so they're thinking that, I mean, cows, whatever, I don't know animals that well, but anyway, this is what he was describing, that for the cow, they're thinking that if they could just get away from the storm, so
Mm.
they're running away from the storm, but yet headed in the direction the storm is going, or going to
Mm.
reach. And so sooner or later, they end up in the storm. They end up getting hurt in the storm, and then they have to go through the storm for as long as whatever the storm lasts, however long that
Mm.
lasts. But a buffalo, on the other end, they see the storm coming and they want to face it head on because they know that
Mm.
if they face that storm head on, that on the other side of it, the storm is not, because the storm is headed in a direction, they're going in opposition to the direction that the storm is facing.
Mm.
So if the storm is facing west, then they heading east. But they
Mm.
have to go through the storm for a period of time, but they're not going to be in it that long, you
Mm.
know. And so looking at that spiritually, in life, many of us, whenever we tend to, face things, whatever it is that the Most High allows to come, a lot of times we feel like it's easier to run away from it,
Mm.
because if we just don't have to go through it at all, or somehow we feel like running away from something that we won't have to sooner or later face it. However, that
Mm.
is inevitable. We're going to have to
Mm.
go through whatever that storm is. So running away from it can actually cause a person to end up getting or experiencing more harm than a little bit. And they may actually end
Mm.
up being in it longer because once they've actually gotten in it, then they spent so much time trying to run away from it that
Mm.
their minds or whatever their mentality was not really ready, for, or it
Mm.
wasn't even
Mm.
being prepared for it. Not saying that they really were are going to be 100% ready for it anyway, because I think it's when
Mm.
you're in the midst of it you're actually getting ready. There's things that are, being worked on, to be
Mm.
able to endure. But anyway, but if we also look at it like, okay, this is here, I'm going to have to go through this. I don't want to, don't like it, but let me go ahead and just face this thing head on. Because if I can get a different mindset, and like we were talking
Mm.
about at the beginning, if I can have this mindset of realizing that Yah has equipped me with everything that is needed to get through this storm. He
Mm.
has given me power. He has given me
Mm.
strength through the
Mm.
Messiah. He's given me his word. His word
Mm.
tells me how I can manage or maintain or just operate in the midst of what I'm facing. And as long as I
Mm.
listen, and when he tells me to move, I'll move. But if there's times where it is that he is being silent, because I remember you were saying that there's times where you didn't hear, or it might have been a little bit of,
Mm.
wind, but not much, and then it's like, are you here or not? But then
Mm.
moments where it's like, I just want you to trust me, you know?
Mm.
So if the mindset can change, and be, okay, I know that he has me. And again, it goes right back to even the beginning of our conversation as far as having that relationship like a father and
Mm.
his child.
Mm.
The way that we take care of our children, period, altogether, it's we take care of them, especially when they're in that vulnerable state, as far as
Mm.
infants and toddlers. And so
Mm.
the Most High takes care of us like that. And so no matter what it is that we face, He's got us and He's
Mm.
able to be trusted. And we don't need to
Mm.
run away from what it is that He has. Because
Mm.
guess what? Running away from it, person's going to end up in it anyway.
Mm.
And we're going to end up in it anyway. So we can
Mm.
face it with his word, with Yahweh Shai, with the Messiah. We can face it with his truth. We can face it even considering the things that he has helped us get through before.
Mm.
Because this is not just one thing that he has helped us with. There's
Mm.
multiple things. Like you even said yourself, I've even said myself, there's multiple things that
Mm.
Yah has helped us to get through before,
Mm.
you know. And so um that's, like just something for us to be able to remember. And I was wondering, like, in your situation, um what like role did like prayer or like seeking the Most High's guidance, or reading His Word? Like, what role did that actually play during that time for you?
So I think during that time there was actually there was a lot of seeking. So I would pray and seek the Most High often. But in terms of His Word, I found that I don't know if maybe you've experienced it or anyone has experienced it, but there have been times, especially during that time, there were times where I couldn't read the Word. I
Right.
couldn't even, I could barely sing a song. The most I could do was have a conversation, maybe at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
and tell the Most High how I was feeling. And that's all I could really do. And I found that during that time, the word always was the word of the Most High was always coming from others around me and the people He put to help me get through that situation as well. Because I don't think like there's some situations we may go through alone, but you know, it's the Most High said it's not good for man to be alone.
Right.
And there's a reason why we have sisters, brothers, uncles, friends, whoever it is, it's not good for us to be alone, go through things alone. And I found that the words that I had read, the things that I knew to be true, I couldn't always remember them when I was going through the heats of the moments and the
Mm-hmm.
seriously bad situations. And it took people who were outside of this situation to remind me of the word. So
Hallelujah.
they may have not even remembered, realized they were doing it because how would they know what verse, exact verse I needed to hear at that time?
Right.
But they would give me a verse, they would give me the word, and it was like when Elijah, it's Elijah, I believe, when he was in the wilderness and he was being fed by the crows. He was being
Mm.
fed food by the crows. It was sort of like that. And obviously, my friends and family, people are not
Mm.
crows, but what I mean is my sustenance was coming from those around me, and
Right.
it was coming in little pockets. Because how much can a crow really hold in its mouth? It was coming in little pockets. There was no one there praying with me every single second. Everyone had their lives to live. And that was a big thing as well because no one can, who can dedicate themselves to your life more than like I had to deal with something. There wasn't always someone there, and that's when I knew the Most High was there. But when there were people there, because I didn't always have that strength. I didn't have, and I say strength. I don't know if that makes sense because obviously to pick up the word and to
Mm-hmm.
read a verse, it's not that. The book is
Yes.
not that heavy and it's not
Right.
that tedious. But what I mean is when it was just too much and this was the reason why it was such a difficult time is that there were so many days that it was too much, so many days and days of it being too much. And so the word came from others, from friends, from family, from people around me, and that's how I consumed the word. That's how I got my daily bread.
Right.
And and that's why there were so many different people just in the group chat will post a verse, just helpful. I may not sit there typing my whole feelings out because I may not have the strength to do so. But like I said, it was just little nuggets here and there. You hear something in the song, or someone will
Mm.
say something uplifting or encouraging, and they won't even know. Most of the time, most people don't know the impact
That is
they're having
true.
on your life by the things they're saying. And so yeah, that was my word. That was how I consumed the words, and also singing. But there were times where I couldn't sing, where I couldn't muster like a sound, like I couldn't imagine singing. Like what would I sing? That's what I would say. Like what would I sing? And so there were times like that, and there were also times where he would put a song in my heart, and then I would record it. And those are the songs that were made. There were a few songs I think I made. Say yeah. I made say yeah, and say yeah, and so there's one more. Be still. Be still was a song, and also I think there may be one more, but the two I know for sure. I made Say Yeah, and Be Still. Be Still being a song completely about the situation. The words were we'll go through the fire and won't get burned. In the face of lions, favors earned. He has broken every chain. The mighty, the I should know my own songs. He has broken every chain. The mighty giant has been slain. Yeah, that was it. The mighty
Mhm.
giant has been slain. Be still. And the words are be still, he is yeah, be still, he is yeah.
Mhm.
And because that
Hallelujah.
the amount of times I had gotten that word during that time, it was frustrating at times. Sometimes you just have to be still, gift. I'm just like really, really be still. And I'm not that kind of person anyway. But when you're under serious attack, to sit there and do nothing, just like not nothing, but be still. Don't do too much. Don't say too much. It's
Allow, yeah.
is not as easy as it. Just don't do anything. It's not as easy as it sounds. When you feel like everything you need to do everything and anything in your power to stop what's happening. But that be still, sometimes that commandment can be a lot harder than people will
Mhm.
admit, to actually stop, like stop stop trying to fix it, stop trying to work on it, stop trying to do
Mhm.
your little scheme or your little, if I would just, it's just like stop. It's just like, well, what am I supposed to do about this horrible situation that's looming over my head and it's not letting me sleep and eat and I'm in stress? Just stop. That is not an easy task, but I had to be still a lot of times. I had to stop a lot of times.
Yes.
And that's why I had to make that song, Be Still. He is, yeah. And that's it. That was the whole line. That was it. Like, I think I repeated that throughout the song. I don't think there was much else I needed to add to it. It was just um you'll go through the fire, you won't get burned, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you
Mhm.
know. Um in the face of lions, favors earned. Daniel, in the face of the lions, he came out and he wasn't harmed. He has broken every chain. The mighty giant has been slain. And obviously that's David, you know, slaying Goliath,
Hallelujah.
you know.
Mhm.
And, I always loved that because during that time I used to show my children these little Israelite cartoons. And one of my favorite ones was their depiction of David, because it was so funny. If you read the word, you read about how Goliath was mocking the Israelites. He used to laugh, and he used to, insult and just, really try to rile our people up, and did like, say, we're nothing and stuff like that. And the feeling that our people must have had, or the soldiers, or the people, when Goliath was slain, and especially from the underdog, some young boy, how could he defeat this mighty giant, and that's how it felt coming out of it. Like, these people who pride themselves on their power and their ability to dominate anyone and everyone couldn't do it
Mhm.
with us. They couldn't do
Mhm.
it. And it's not because of righteousness, because I know that I am not in any way, in this shape or form. I'm not, I couldn't even call myself righteous. I'm striving to be. And I say striving because I want to be. But the translation from wanting and actually being, it's like I said, a journey. It's not easy, but it's not because of my righteousness. It's certainly not because of anything it's not because it's not because I created anything, or I've done bucket loads of good things on this earth. It's simply for His name's sake, so that because I said to everyone who would hear me, that Yahuwah was going to protect me and me and my children.
Right.
He did it because He said that that's what He's going to do. And
Mhm.
it wasn't because I was some righteous person. It wasn't because I was the best mom on earth, or I'd done 110 fantastic things. It was because He said He would, and He did. And
Hallelujah.
that's just who he is. That's just who he always will be. You can't call on his name and he just ignores you. It's like a child. Your child is shouting, "Mama, mom, mom," but
Yes.
you're just gonna sit there and just ignore them. It's just you wouldn't. And he says it over and over. That's why David is one, like his words in Psalms. You really learn about. You really see the true his hope and belief of redemption. You see that, like David, he really talks about redemption and the Most High saving the day and taking us out of captivity and situations. He
Yes.
goes into that a lot. He reiterates that so many times. Who is my help? All of my help coming from Yahuwah. Just continuously over and over. He talks about how Yahuwah saves him, how he took him out of the depths of Sheol, and he just,
Mhm.
I mean, it's just continually. He just speaks about how Yahuwah took him out of darkness, continue to take him out of darkness.
Hallelujah.
And so, yeah, that redemption is the Most High's redemption, and that if you call on his name, and that's something that I teach my children, and that's something I believe should be integral in every believer, is the understanding that if you call on his name, if you say, because I was saying it, I used to, I don't know if this is good or bad. I believe in it, but I used to say it as assurance. I used to say it to whoever would hear me, honestly. People around me, or people on the street. I was in the library. I took my children to the library so we could get some books, and I was speaking to the mothers then. I was telling them my story, and I was telling them that how God, how I would say God for people, because
Mm.
oftentimes I'll be dealing with people who don't understand certain things. So I'll be like
Right.
God, I'll be like Yahuwah, I'll be like how Yahuwah's he's brought me out of this situation. Look at me standing here. They'll be like, you don't even look like someone who's going through something. And I'll be there like, yeah, well, he's been keeping me. I was like, if it was me and they were trying to do that to me, I would be I would be, I couldn't deal with it. And even though inside I'm struggling, but that's the thing. He's maintaining, he's keeping me.
Hallelujah.
You know, yeah, yeah, is my shepherd. I shall not want. He's keeping me. He's keeping me, even if it's just the manna that he was given to the children of Israel so they could be sustained. He's still providing, he's still providing, he's still giving, he was still keeping me. I wasn't in, oh gosh, the ways things could have gone, honestly, the ways things could have gone, the potential for me to be telling you a different story right now is just unbelievable. I should be telling you a different story
Right.
right now. I should be, but it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I
Mm.
left just in time. You know, they came to our house to take my children and we weren't there. And that wasn't like we just weren't there, and they've done it to many people
Hallelujah.
before. We just weren't there. Because the few days or week before, I, the Most High had spoken to a sister, a good friend of mine, and she was just like, you need to leave probably. And I was just like, I think you're right. She booked the ticket. I didn't even have the money. She booked the ticket for me. I got on the train with the children, and then I'm at a stranger's doorstep with my three children, and she took us in. She took us in, and
Mhm.
how like, in this day and age, you don't hear stories of someone just turning up at someone's house
Right.
with their children and being looked after. Being looked after, and you know,
Hallelujah.
sorry, I think it was. Oh, I think I muted myself by accident. But yeah, how many times do you hear of stories like that? You know, I was saying when we were going through it, I was like, this is like some a biblical type story.
Mm.
I was like, how many things are going wrong right now? Like it's just I used to say this is almost impossible. Like, you know, I was like, what is going on?
Praise.
And
Yeah.
times you're having these kind of conversations like this is just impossible. I
Yeah.
like you're sitting in some stranger's house, because in, like I said, in modern society you don't really see that or hear that, like, this is straight up, in the Bible, in the word, when you see like they travel to somewhere and they lodged at someone's house and
Mm.
they, this is just, I'm
Yeah.
like this, at least I was in that situation. I was like, this is straight up biblical. I was like, what is going on? I'm in some stranger's house. She's feeding me. She's clothing me. In fact, I still got the clothes she gave me when I was there because I didn't take my clothes. I took the children's clothes because I said they will need clothes. I left with no intention of coming back and no idea how long I was staying, and
Mm.
one bag of clothes. That's how severe the situation was, and it just makes no sense. I like sometimes I think to myself like, what happened? Like, how did we avoid that? How did we avoid all the shots?
But
How
yeah,
did we how did we
but
get up every like when they
mhm.
shot their shots, and sometimes they hit and we still got up, and
Mm.
somehow the giant was slain, somehow we came out of this fire, somehow they were put to shame. Imagine these people who pride themselves on power and who are confident, I have no power. I'm just a small person. What can I possibly do? And
Mhm.
somehow, not for my actions or anything I've done, they are put to shame. No, they are put to shame. Not me, not my family. They are put to shame. We
Hallelujah.
go on to get a brand new house. A brand new house. I mean, they built it not too long before we moved in. Beautiful home. Like how did that happen? Like it's just things that are just like I don't understand. I don't understand. It doesn't make any
Mhm.
sense because it's not because of anything. It's not because of merit. It's not because, oh, I'm just the Most High's favorite daughter that he does. No. It's not because of that. It's because of his mercies, because of his word. It's because
Hallelujah.
he will never go back on his word. And that's one thing that's one thing I fully learned to appreciate and fully know, and I understand it now that he's not going to go back on his word. If he says it, it is true and it will be done. And so that means he is. I am that I am. I am. I am. There's no ifs. There's no buts. There's no potential. If he says it is, then it is. And these are things I learned during that time, and things I wouldn't have learned if I'd have gone that difficult situation, even though it was terrible and difficult at the time. But
Right.
it needed to happen. I had to learn certain lessons. I had to see things in certain ways. I had to see how powerless a gift, me, the individual, flesh and blood, can actually be, and how powerful he is, how he can pull through from what seems actually impossible. And I
Mm.
don't want, some people don't even have the scope of understanding of impossible. When something seems like there's genuinely not a way that this is going to work out in your favor, and somehow it still does, that makes no sense. We're talking beyond reason, we're talking beyond logic. We're trying to understand how this terrible situation we could still get out of it. And it doesn't make any sense. And it's all by his
Mm.
grace. And that's why he gets
Hallelujah.
the glory. That I can't say it was because of any one person. I can't say it was because of me or
Right.
their dad or the children or anyone. It wasn't because of any one person. No one can take the glory for that situation.
Mm.
I wouldn't let anyone take the glory for that situation. It's the Most High that got us through that situation, got me through certain times, and I never lost my children. They never got taken out of my hand, no matter
Hallelujah.
what they tried to. I held on to them within, at times when I felt like I couldn't do it. I still held on to them, and that was only because of his strength. So it wasn't because of me, because my arms failed me, my feet, my legs failed me, my voice failed me at times. My heart was broken. I was sad and frustrated. I was hurt. I was angry. I was failing myself. There were times that I was barely combing my hair, brushing my teeth. I was barely showering. I was failing myself, but Yahuwah didn't fail me. He didn't fail me, and he got me through, and that's a blessing. And I will forever be thankful. And I said to everyone, if people found it funny, but I was just like, I believed in the Most High, and I was learning the truth, and I believe we're Israelites. But the events that happened during that time made me know for a fact that Yahuwah is there. I may not understand everything else. I may not understand the feast days. I can't explain the best day to do the feast days and what the new moon is. And we could debate all day about,
Mm.
you know, all of the different
Right.
factors of being an Israelite or learning this or learning that. We can debate all day, all night. But one thing I learned for certain is that he is there. You know, he's not going to
Hallelujah.
forsake. He's not going to leave. That's something that I know as a fact now. Just the same way you know that the sun shines every day, the moon must, the moon will be there.
Right.
You know that spring comes around March and April. You know that winter there'll be snow. You know that in spring the animals have their babies. You know that things that you consider to be fact, things that you consider to be non-negotiable in this world, I established for myself, like through my experience, through what I live through. I established that Yahuwah is a constant, more constant than anything else that we've seen, more
Hallelujah.
constant than the sun, the stars, all of these things that we consider to be a constant. Like it would be weird if tomorrow morning the sun did not rise, if there was no light. We would be like, what on earth? No, no, we're like, what is happening? We will consider that to be a travesty. You know, we would all be scared and confused what's going on, right? So that as much as we know that tomorrow the sun will rise and it'll be morning again. That's how
Mhm.
confident I am
Hallelujah.
in Yahuwah, and that's because of that. And that's not to say that my walk has been perfect. That's not to say that I don't fall short. That's not to say that I don't fall and have to get up.
Hmm.
That's not to say that I'm not going through my own thing, but that constant, that pillar of my faith is there now. It's been established, and yeah, and yeah. So
Praise God.
that's a constant for me now. That's an understanding that I know to be true. Like I obviously the enemy may try, so I'm praying for the Most High's grace. But I will say right now that's something that I know 100% to be true, and I won't let go
Praise
of that.
God.
Like no one's gonna tell me otherwise. Like I
Mhm.
don't think anyone could tell me that Yahuwah is not right. But the words is not true. That you can't hold on to him. No one can convince me otherwise because I've lived through it. I've seen it with my eyes, with my
Right.
hands, with my spirit. I've seen it. Sorry, I've been
Oh
rambling,
no,
but
you are
yeah,
fine. I mean,
that's
you're
it.
actually, without realizing it, there's questions that I may have had, but you are. I'm like, she's answering some questions. I was thinking about that because, yeah. So praise Yah, praise Yah.
Mm,
What I would, I do want to ask you though is, so what message or like just encouragement would you actually give others that are, facing situations that do seem impossible? Like they're really,
mm,
to them, they're looking at a situation right now and they don't think that there's a way out.
mm. Well, well, I would say that first of the number one advice I'll give to anyone is not to stop communication with the Most High. Um, the same way, you know, you keep in touch with friends and family, you give them a quick call, you know, and that's something I really had to learn to appreciate, that prayer doesn't have to be this fantastical thing that some people think in their mind. Prayer must be some prayer warrior, shouting and binding and bashing and slapping the enemy. And there's time and space for that as well. Don't get me wrong, because I did some of that during that time as well. Do not get me wrong at all. But what I mean is that the same way you would talk to a friend, the same way you'll talk to anyone, is the same way you can still approach the Most High. And sometimes I'll be like, you know, in imagine a good relationship with a father and a child, or your mother and your child. You hope that your child can come to you and speak their mind and speak their heart, and you can guide them, you can listen, you can be a voice of reason, you can be there for them. And that's something I started to do. The same way I'm talking to you right now, I I like to talk. Sometimes, imagine you've had a long day, and I
Mhm.
mean spiritually, emotionally, whatever way. You've had a long day, isn't it? Sometimes it can be relaxing, to or or decompressing. You talk to someone about it. You talk to someone might come home, talk to their husband or their wife about their day, or you'll decompress, you tell them about your day, you tell them, oh, this happened, that happened, whatever. And so that's what I would say to someone going through something that feels impossible is don't stop communication. It isn't silly to just talk to the Most High, to say actually how you feel. And because he works with in spirit and in truth.
Hallelujah.
And if you aren't real with yourself, you aren't real with the Most High. You need to be real with yourself, one, and be real with the Most High. I know that sounds weird, because yeah, sometimes we want to sound, you know, we want to sound super spiritual and super like,
Hmm.
a certain way, but just like, the same way you pick up your phone and talk to your mom and say, oh, mom, this is happening or whatever. That's the same way I would talk to the Most High. And that's what I was saying during that time. All I could manage was really a conversation. I'll be like, literally, let me say how I'll say, I'll be like, Abba, I come to you humbly. Thank you for another day. Today was a really difficult day. It was really hard looking after the children. We still don't have a home. I'm tired, and I wish I could talk to you more, but I just feel so overwhelmed in the day. Next time, and the next time, and then the next day I do that every day, at least once a day. It doesn't have to be like, morning and night. I know that's what David said as well. Every night, every morning and night, I seek you and stuff like that. But just keep that communication open.
Right.
Don't shut off the phone. Don't turn off the tap. Don't stop the supply. Don't stop the communication.
Hallelujah.
Don't don't block it. Just continue to talk, even if it's just literally talking like how you would talk to a friend. I think that, it says, what did David said? I am a friend of Yah, a
Hmm.
friend. Another interesting concept. He's Yah's our friend. What does that mean?
Right.
My friends. The way we talk and the silliness, and
Yes.
obviously, I'm not saying
Mhm.
that obviously everyone's on their walk. You figure out your salvation with fear and trembling. But I
Right.
mean, for me, when I talk to my friends, I talk to them sometimes excited, sometimes upset, or sometimes I'm just having a day and I just want to yap. So literally, there were days where I literally made a point just to tell the Most High about my day. I was just like, so we woke up, we're still not at home, and just telling them about the day. We had food, and it sounds silly. It sounded silly at the time. It really did, to be honest. I felt silly. I was like, you're telling the Most High you made the children lunch, but it's just, I couldn't. The weight of everything was so heavy that I just wanted to sometimes not even talk about it, not even really discuss it, or like feel the strong, painful emotion. So I just talk to the Most High about my day. And
Hallelujah.
it made me feel like I could still just talk and just still be there. Because prayer really is just a conversation, in my opinion, anyway.
Right.
And sometimes that conversation can be intense, and you want your will and your desires, you want to, like, convey them to the Most High. You want to petition. Sometimes you're petitioning, you want to make your case so that the Most High can hear you and change a situation that seems like it's not gonna. There were times I had to petition. I wrote out a petition to the Most High.
Mm.
There were times I wrote things, because that's another thing as well. I would suggest is writing things down, writing things to the Most High, or writing things to yourself in the future that has come through this situation already. You're
Mhm.
writing a message. Or sometimes I used to write messages to myself right now as if I had already gone through it. And that was steps of faith, really, because obviously I wasn't through the situation. Obviously I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. But because I knew that the Most High was with me, I said, okay, at some point I will feel better and I feel happy, and I can say to myself, we got through it. It was okay. And so I would walk in faith, and I would, you know, do things like that, and just reiterate that I have faith. I have faith. I still have faith. Even the days where it was really bad, my faith isn't gone. My spirit is weak,
Hallelujah.
My spirit is weak, my strength is
Right.
gone, I don't have the energy, I don't have the strength, but
Right.
I haven't lost my faith. And there were
Mm-hmm.
times I felt like I
Hallelujah.
was I was so close to just losing it all and saying, forget all of this. Because there was even that aspect. I was like, look, I start saying I'm an Israelite. I start believing in the word and keeping the feast days. And then this is what this is what
Mm.
happens. Like, what is this? I was saying, I remember being a Christian and not much happening.
Yeah. Right.
And then
Yeah. Yeah.
and now I declare my undying desire, my desire to
Mm.
follow you and to give you my life, and you're gonna look after me and my children. And now all of this craziness is happening. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
But I also have learned about how giving your life to Yahusha, but believing in the Most High, and
That's
you know
right.
it comes at, like you said, at a cost. It
Right.
comes at a cost. And it says that you lose brothers and sisters, and there'll be disagreements. You'll be persecuted. One of my favorite um books of the whole word is Hebrews 11,
Yes.
about faith, and the different. I just love how they list it out, the different patriarchs and matriarchs, because you can read through the word obviously and you can see the different instances, but Paul put it just in chronological order. He put it right there for you to see that this is not a joke. He has done it over and over and over and over and over and over and
Hallelujah.
over again. He's done it before. He will do it again, and the Most High has come through for
Mm.
all of these people, and it's such a beautiful thing for me to see it in that way, just listed out.
What is love, my brothers and sisters? Love is action. If I speak with the tongues of men and messengers, but do not have love, I have become as a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. And if I prophesy and know all secrets and all knowledge, and if I have all belief, so as to remove mountains, but I do not have love, I am none at all. And if I give out my possessions to feed the poor, and if I give my body to be burned, but I do not have love, I am profited not at all. Family, as I said, love is an action word. Love is faith that we can do all things through Messiah who strengthens us, knowing that Yah provides for us according to his riches and glory in Messiah. Understanding that our Father is spirit, and those that worship him in spirit and truth. We offer up ourselves, we give ourselves away to the Father that we may be used by him to feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, clothe the naked, visit those that are in prison and those that are sick, for in doing so, we do it unto him. So please join us for the Yah's Storehouse fundraiser on Pastor Rick Fletcher's channel on 2/23/2025 on February the 23rd, 2025, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our goal is to help with the GoFundMe initiative for those that were displaced and lost everything as a result of the fires in California. We bless the Most High Yah that though our people may have lost monetary things, they are still whole and healthy and able to receive from the storehouse of abundance, the storehouse of Yah's love. So family, let us continue to do the work as we have been charged by the Most High Yah through the mouth of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, to love our neighbor as ourselves. So I look forward to seeing you on February 23rd. Shalom.
It's not everyone. There's some people that he doesn't mention, but you just see some of these staple household names that you may forget, or you may not consider when you see it all together. And Paul is talking about how Moses was a baby and he was hid. His parents hid him because that's what I was saying at the time when I had to take my son. I had to hide him
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
I would draw on those verses. I'd be like, Moses' parents, they hid him. They said they saw he was a proper child, and my son, I saw that he was a well and healthy boy, but they wanted to put tubes up his nose, keep him in hospital, do all sorts. And if you see this boy now,
Hmm.
unbelievable. I got a letter from the doctor and she was just like, I'm so happy to see Zachariah. He has no issues at all. And and they speak so fondly of him. But I remember during that time I was fighting for this, but I was like, there is nothing wrong with my son. I don't need your medical assistance. I don't want whatever you're giving. I don't want your sugary formula. I don't want any of it.
Hmm.
And they said that I was not being a good mom because of that. And I said, well, you know time will tell. And look now,
And it
you know
sure
he's
has.
it sure has.
Yes.
He is big, big now. He's big. He's tall, smart. Very, very, very cute. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
unreasonably cute. I had to make him I drew him a little baby license so he can. Because I asked him one time, "Do you have a license to be this cute? Are you are you licensed?" I had to write him a little card. I was like, "You have license." A
Oh, that's
beautiful
so
little
cute.
baby,
Wow.
fantastic. And yeah, so I would say, I guess my 2 points would be, to anyone going through something that feels impossible, is to keep up communication, not to let go of that simple conversation, not to stop telling your father how you are, how you feel,
Yes.
where you're at. It's not stupid. He literally wants you to do that. He wants you to see him as
Yes.
a source of support, comfort, a source of security, a source of like where you can be yourself. He knows you. That it'll be silly not to be yourself around someone who knows every single hair on your head.
That's true.
We don't have to pretend we're some
Hmm.
big shot believer who can bind and cast every demon on it. Like, okay, fine, that's great. But what I mean is that you can have moments where you're just being real with your father, and
Right.
that's what I learned. I would just tell him the basics and just tell him what I could, and then just say that I'm still believing in you, and I still have faith that you're gonna come through for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so keep that communication open. He's always there. That line, it never shuts off. He says he never sleeps or slumbers. So imagine like a
Hmm.
phone line, 24-hour phone line or
Hmm.
helpline, whatever, that you can tap into, 24-hour power bank source, like source of food, source of shelter, source of everything. He's
Right.
like the same way, like, if something were to happen, if an emergency were to happen, you would call like the emergency services, or you would call someone, whoever.
Mm.
That's who he is to us. He's like our line of our source. He's our complete source. And even if you're just calling that line once a day just to speak to our Father, you're still maintaining your relationship. You're still staying within
Right.
proximity of Him, and He's still minding you, and He's still keeping you. It's just keeping things close to Him, not straying too far. Because when the days go by and the days can turn into weeks where we're not speaking to our Father, we're not updating Him, we're not keeping Him in the loop of our life, then we can start to feel far away and backslide, or not be as close. And especially when you're in the thick of something, whatever you're going through, that's the time you need him the most. That's the time you need to rely on him the most. And so you
Right.
can't let go of that communication line. You can't, because we need him to get through it. You need him to get through it. So you have to keep that communication open. And it's an effort on your part, because he's always there. He's always ready for you. So it has to
Right.
be something on our part. And even if you can't brush your teeth today, you haven't brushed your teeth today, you haven't had a shower, you haven't gotten up out of bed, just at least remember to keep that line open,
Hmm.
and he will work out everything else. Really, he literally will. He actually will, and I can stand to that. You can hold me to that, because he will work it out. If you hold on to him, he will work it out for you. Yeah.
Praise God. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. I was sitting there thinking, and while you're saying, I'm like, when you was talking about the part of like, don't let, as far as
Mm.
if it's been a couple of days, a week go by, don't get that
Yeah,
distant. And I'm like, wow, because even thinking of the fact that yeah is still, like if we look at it like that line, just on the other side waiting on that call, just sitting there on the other side, just waiting,
absolutely.
on
Yeah,
that call, so.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. You know, yeah,
Wow.
he's waiting and he's waiting and he wants us. He said it. He said he wants to know us. He wants us to know him. He
Mhm.
wants to be with us. He wants us to be with him. It doesn't get more on the nose than that. He said, I
Right.
want you to spend the rest of your eternity with me.
Hallelujah. Ah,
All
yeah.
right. So it's just such a blessing. So
Right.
why would we cut off communication from
Gosh.
this? Yeah, from
And
the
he has the
point.
answer for everything.
Yeah, the point of all things. He
Yes.
it
Everything
just
does right back to him. It starts
right
and
back to
ends. There's no
yeah,
end to him, but I'm just saying with what we need, everything starts and ends with the Most High.
right,
Everything.
right. So
Mm.
why not focus on
Yes.
him? Why not give him some
Right.
time?
Right.
Imagine, yeah, yeah, all the time we may give to other things during the day, we can give him some time. And I genuinely mean like just a little conversation. It um it it helps. It helps with your father. A little conversation with your father helps. Our father. And I say you're just, but our father, a
Right.
little conversation with him helps.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, lastly, would you like to share like a poem or a song that actually reflects your journey?
A poem or a song? Oh gosh.
Mhm. I would say a scripture, but you already talk about Hebrews chapter 11, so I was
Kiwi.
yeah.
Okay. Let me think. Maybe a song. I'll actually be performing this Friday, this Sabbath day coming actually, which is gonna be a blessing. I'm gonna be singing my songs to the Most High in front of
Hallelujah.
people, on his Sabbath day, and
Mhm.
I'm hoping that he'll take all the glory, and yeah, it should be a blessing. And um, I'm just thinking of what songs I'm singing that day, and maybe because I've been practicing them, so hopefully, I'm just trying to remember which ones now. I'm gonna go with this song I made. I haven't released it at all. I made it just it was an anniversary of the genesis of all the things that happened, and I was in a state of reflection, and so I made a song just to a song to the Most High or to myself, or just to just to remember that time. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna hopefully I remember the words because I just made it for the sake of making it, not really for anyone to hear. So
Right.
yeah, hopefully the Most High um, guides the song by His
Hallelujah.
grace. So yeah, it goes like this. I made it through the valley. I made it through the storm. Made it through the sickness. Made it through the storm. Made it through the darkness. Made it through the sickness. Made it through the fire. Made it through the storm. Not without you. Not without you. Because of you, I saw it through. Because of you, I made it through. Made it through the valley. made it through the trial, made it through the sickness, made it through the storm, made it through the fire, made it through the fire, made it through the valley, made it through the storm. Because of you, I saw it through. Because of you, I saw it through. Yeah. So that's basically it.
Hallelujah. That was beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully,
Hallelujah.
maybe I may release it. I mean, I enjoyed putting it together, and
Yeah, you
the words
should.
came.
You should, because I'm sitting here thinking now, like that little piece right there. Like,
Mm.
if Yah leads you, please do, because it reminds me of the one Heaven's Help.
Heaven's help. Oh
Heaven's
yeah,
Help.
yeah.
Yeah. So that right there goes right in line with please do. I hope that
Mm.
you do. I hope that you do, so I can put that on my
Well,
list.
hopefully I will. Yeah. I haven't recorded anything right now. I've been not slowing down. It's not been for anything bad. I've
Mm-hmm.
just I'm hopefully working on a little album, something I've never done before. So,
Yeah.
putting things together a bit more organized, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to do it. I'm hoping to do a little project, and yeah, but there's still a couple of things I could hopefully release. So there's some songs that are years old now that I'm still
Mm-hmm.
hoping to drop that are, beautiful. There's a song particularly called New Jerusalem, and it's a very hopeful song. If you don't mind, I wouldn't mind singing that if
Go
that's okay.
ahead, go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay.
Hopefully this is the confirmation of the Most High, giving you. Yeah, because
Mm,
yes,
okay.
hallelujah.
Okay, it goes. It's a very beautiful song. Um, um, okay. Soon the day will come where we won't have need for the moon, the stars, and the sun. New Jerusalem, where we won't have need for the moon, the stars, and the sun. Worries left behind. In his presence we abide, chosen to see our Father's face. In his glory there will be saints. Soon the day will come where we won't have need for the moon, the stars, and the sun. New Jerusalem, where we won't have need for the moon, the stars, and the sun. Praises to be heard in our hearts will be his word, given to drink waters high. In the beauty there will be bright. Soon the day will come where we won't have need of the moon, the stars, and the sun. New Jerusalem, Jerusalem, where we won't have need for the moon, the stars, and the sun. That's it. There. New
Hallelujah.
Jerusalem. Yeah.
Hallelujah. 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 I want to close today's episode with Isaiah chapter 41, verses 8, 9, and 10. And it reads, "But you, Yasharal, are my servant, Yaakov, whom I have chosen, the descendants of Abraham, whom I love, whom I have strengthened from the ends of the earth, and called from its farthest parts, and said to you, you are my servant. I have chosen you, and have not rejected you. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not look around, for I am your Almighty. I am your strength. I am your power. I am your Eloah. I shall strengthen you. I shall also help you. I shall also uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness." Hallelujah. Remember, no matter what you are facing, the Most High Yah can turn the impossible into something possible. If you were encouraged, inspired, edified, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, share, and be a part of our growing community. We're here every week to bring you more testimonies, teachings, songs, whatever it is that the set-apart spirit of the Most High Yah brings that will strengthen your faith. And until next time, stay encouraged and walk in the authority of Yahweh Shah Mashiach. Shalom.